What's up, guys? So in today's video, obviously the market had a bit of a red day. Earlier on in the morning, we were holding on to swings, so we were holding on to NASDAQ calls overnight. These we closed out for about 15%. After like a few minutes after I posted this, these ended up going for about 25%. And then of course at the open, I alerted to close out some Mara calls because Mara gapped up, and these were good for 58%. So overall, after this, I didn't alert anything because the market was just very, very choppy. So in today's video, we have to see now and put things together to see what could happen next. All right, so we're going to talk about the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, the 30-year bonds, the large tech stocks, and then, of course, the crypto market. All right, so let's get started with the video. All right, so here's the SPY. We clearly failed to hold above 434.74 and 433.34. Very simple. Obviously, we failed to close above resistance. That is not a good sign, right? Now, this is the SPY, right? But what I want to show is the SPX. It's basically the same thing, right? So, and I wanted to show the Fibonacci levels on this because it's a cleaner chart. So, from the February 24th lows to this most recent high, we came back and retested the 38.2% fib on the SPX. Or the SPY, right? Generally, that is basically the most bullish place for a retest, for a continuation upwards, right? If the 38.2% fib acts as support, that is usually a very, very good sign. But of course, coming back and retesting at the 50% fib is also very possible. Therefore, I didn't attempt to catch a falling knife at the 38.2% fib, even though I do believe that the market is going to bounce very, very heavily. We see the strength in Bitcoin and the bonds as well. So, but in the short term, for holding something overnight immediately, I still do think because we failed to close above the 435 level. Even above like 432 and 433 on the SPY, I do think that there could still be some more downside room. But if that 38.2% fib holds, that is going to be very, very bullish. And essentially, that level for today was around 428, I think, on the SPY, right? So if 428 can hold on the SPY, that's very, very good. But I didn't attempt to hold, to catch a falling knife. And also, the MACD needs to show some more strength. So this isn't the most bullish sign because the MACD is still falling lower. So what we need is much more strength out of the SPY for the yellow MACD line to start curling upwards. And until this blue MACD line really starts to show extreme strength, this is not going to start turning. So what we need to see is the SPY to really start showing strength above these levels of resistance. And until then, just be patient. There's no point of taking any really, really ridiculously risky trades. We could also see the VIX is very, very high as well. So when the VIX is this high, and when the SPY was basically failing at resistance and falling below support, it's worth just waiting it out. Even though the bonds and Bitcoin are super, super strong and your bias can be very, very bullish, there's no point of constantly trying to go long every night. It's just, it's a bad formula, and it's just a failure waiting to happen. So there's that for the SPY. 428 needs to hold. If 428 doesn't hold, then we're going to fall back down to approximately like 426. And there's that really for the SPY. Let's go ahead and take a look at the IWM. So the IWM, we clearly failed to hold 200. We failed at 202.50. We failed at 201.50, and we failed to stay above this downtrend level. So obviously this is not bullish either. Very similar MACDs. The IWM needs to have a really aggressive move to the upside for this yellow MACD line to start moving upwards. And let's take a look at the RUT, which is basically the IWM. And you can also see that it clearly came and retested the 38.2% fib. Very, very similar to the SPY, right? So again, this is generally, if we bounce off of this, this is a this is a bullish retest. Usually, whenever we have a rally and there's like, we rally to the 23.6% fib, the 23.6% fib, like, it almost never holds. So the 38.2% fib really always comes back and gets retested. But again, we could come back to the 50% fib, which is why I didn't bother alerting any swings overnight. And it just wasn't the best time. We'd rather wait for a better setup. So going back to the IWM, we can see that, you know, there is still more room to the downside. If 198 doesn't hold, then we're going to go back down to the same levels that we've been talking about for the past few days. And then this 195.47 level is going to be very, very important. And, you know, same thing with the MACD, very similar to the SPY. And really, I mean, there's that. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the large tech stocks, the 30-year bond and the NASDAQ. Apple, not looking that bullish, right? We closed below this major level of support, which was 163.76. But it is a good sign that the MACD is now looking cross above, which is a generally bullish sign. So we need to see if tomorrow the market can start to bounce. But you could see that the MACD is about to cross over, and that can permeate into tomorrow and create some bullishness for Apple. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft very overbought on the MACD, which is fine, but we need continued strength out of Microsoft to cause this blue MACD line to continue upwards and to cause this yellow overall momentum of the MACD to start moving upwards as well. So, but we can see today that Microsoft failed at the 200 simple moving average, and it failed at 297.97, but it held this support level very, very well here. You can see that. And, you know, there's that for Microsoft. Let's take a look at Amazon. It also did not cross above yet. So similar to Apple, the MACD still has room to the upside. We held this level of support pretty well, but we failed, you know, to cross above and make any new highs. 31.27 is going to be the main level of resistance for Amazon moving forward. Let's take a look at Google. Google also very similar to Microsoft in terms of the MACD, but Google held support, and that is a very, very good sign. So 26.60 held. And then, of course, like 27.50 are going to be it's going to be the next level of resistance. And same thing that I said on Microsoft, the MACDs just need to continue moving upwards so that the overall momentum can move upwards as well on Google. All right. Quickly take a look at Tesla as well. So we can see that Tesla held really well also. Similar to Microsoft and Google, it just needs to continue moving on upwards, and that's basically what it's doing. But we had a bit of a retracement overall on the entire market because I think, you know, a healthy retracement from an aggressive move upwards is normal. All right. But it was no reason for me to go long just yet because we could still fall a bit lower overall. So there's that for the large tech stocks. This is one of the main reasons why I'm very, very bullish. So this is the 30-year bonds. And 30-year bonds generally tell the long-term story of what investors are thinking about the overall stock market. So, because tech stocks are highly correlated to the long-term outlook of the market, the 30-year bonds are breaking out right now, and that is very, very bullish for the overall market, in my opinion. This is very, very bullish. So we gapped up. We were trading back here yesterday, and now we're trading back above 158.30. Back when we first, you know, this was the first main level of support that we were monitoring. So now the bonds right now, they're trading at around 159.30. Cool. All right, so let's go back to when the bonds were trading at this level before. So currently, all right, so December 29th. Okay, so technically the bonds were trading at this level on December 29th, right? Let's go ahead and look at what price the NASDAQ was trading at on December 29th. the NASDAQ was trading at 400 on December 29th, and the bonds are basically back at that same level. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that this is a clear-cut reason why the NASDAQ is going back to 400, but this extreme bullishness is a very, very important thing. All right, you cannot overlook this. So this is very, very bullish. There's nothing else to say here. If 158.22 holds, we can just continue going on upwards and break above 160. That's it. Now, taking a look at the NASDAQ, right? Technically, right, this was a bullish sort of situation. We held support, right? But then again, I wasn't comfortable alerting anything overnight because we could, on the equities price, we could still, you know, fall a bit lower. That's fine. But with the bonds showing that much strength, you have to be bullish, in my opinion. When the bonds are weak, that's a bigger justification to be bearish. But when the bonds are breaking out like this, your bias has to switch, in my opinion. Okay? So, yeah, so obviously the NASDAQ, you can see here, it held these three main levels of support from 338 to 341. We held that perfectly, even though we didn't come back and retest the 38.2% fib on the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the NDX. It closed at the 23.6% fib. It didn't come back and retest the 38.2% fib. So there is still maybe more room to the downside, but if the NASDAQ holds and starts moving on upwards, then the NASDAQ is definitely going to be the leader moving forward in the month of March. And the NASDAQ is, we're definitely going to be focusing on the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ related stocks. So this was things look very, 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 very interesting moving forward. We could be a bit red tomorrow. That's fine, but the fact that these bonds are just showing this much strength is ridiculous to me. So to really, really feel, you know, safe, I want us to close above this level. You can see that we failed multiple times to close above this level. And the last time we did close above this level, we gapped up. And then, you know, this is when, you know, the news started flip-flopping, and then now we're almost back there. So 347.38 is going to be the main level for the NASDAQ that we need to close above. If we start closing above that level tomorrow, you have to be bullish. And if overnight Bitcoin is green, so you know what? There's that for the NASDAQ. These are the main levels of support. That's the main level of resistance. Overall, this was a healthy pullback, but I don't want to buy into pullbacks right now. I'd rather buy breaks of resistance. That's that for the entire stock market. I hope you guys enjoyed. Also, crude oil is above $100. I mentioned that in a few videos ago. I think that crude oil was going to break 100, and now it definitely looks like it's going to come back and retest this trend line and probably break above it. I think crude oil makes at least 110 soon, but essentially there's that for the entire stock market. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, because we need to see how strong Bitcoin is to get a better gauge of where the market can go. All right, so in yesterday's video, I was showing how Bitcoin needed to close above this level, and we can see that we're clearly right at this resistance level. All right, tomorrow, this level of resistance is going to be around 44,000. So wherever we close today, we can close above today, right? But to stay above this line, we need to be above 44. And it looks like that could be the case, because MACD on Bitcoin looks very, very healthy. You can see that the yellow MACD line is starting to move upwards. The RSI is stagnant here, even though we had a big green day, which is very, very bullish. You guys see this? So that means that there is still potential more room to the upside. And when Bitcoin is bullish, obviously, you know, the market is bullish as well. So this is really, really interesting here. So this is with the bonds showing this much strength, with Bitcoin showing this much strength, it's only a matter of time for the market to really start showing strength as well, in my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.